Hobgoblins are where things get interesting, because they're the perfect blend of physical and mental capability paired with a particular love of war. War is the life of a hobgoblin. The glory of it is what fills their dreams at night, and the horror of it always seems to conveniently be left out of the conversation. Being a coward is worse than dying for a hobgoblin because what you do in life carries over into the afterlife. Dying a hero during battle is the ideal. Young hobs begin to soldier when they're able to walk and join the fight as soon as they can use their weapons effectively. Hobgoblins hold themselves to a high standard when it comes to military honor. The race has a long history of shared traditions, recorded and retold to newer generations to keep everything fresh. This aspect is where hobgoblins deviate from the other goblinoid races. They're more capable, patient, educated, and cultured when compared to the others. That doesn't mean that their culture isn't brutal though. When they aren't actively in a war, they're farming, building, practicing with their weapons, or learning magic. They actively strive to get better at warfare. Punishment for breaking hobgoblin law is swift and merciless. Beauty can only be associated with things like war, death, and conflict. The only arts they appreciate are martial arts. Hobgoblins have two gods that are unique to their race. They managed to survive after Maglu decimated their pantheon, and their names are Nomag Gaia, who I will simply just call Nomag from this point forward, and Bargravyek. Nomag is the stronger of the two gods and is worshipped more often. He's typically depicted as a stoic, cold-blooded, tyrannical leader, and the Hobbs believe that their god expects the same behavior from them. Bargravyek is a god of duty, unity, and discipline. Hobgoblins don't build temples to their gods because they don't want to run the risk of displeasing Maglu, but the few priests among the goblin race do tend to small shrines dedicated to their respective gods. Nomag's priests always carry long swords and hand axes, and are usually responsible for martial training and giving instruction on battlefield strategy and tactics. Bargavyek's priests will carry a flail with a head dipped in white paint. These priests usually work as a police force in hobgoblin society, and they are the one in charge of making judgments about honor, mediating disputes, and overall enforcement of discipline. Rank and status. Since the hobgoblin culture is centered around a militaristic hierarchy, all hobs have a rank, and the gathering of hobgoblins is called a legion. The legion has 7 ranks, and at the pinnacle of it is the warlord. So we have 1. Warlord, 2. General, 3. Captain, 4. Fatal Axe, 5. Spear, 6. Fist, 7. Soldier. Legions are organized into smaller units called banners, and those are made up of interrelated hobgoblin families. The individuals of a banner live, work, and fight together, and each banner has a separate status in the legion, which is usually determined by the power of the banner's officers. If any rank doesn't serve a purpose in that specific legion, then the warlord will often opt to eliminate the rank completely in order to maximize efficiency. In order to advance in rank in a hobgoblin legion, one needs to stack up some glory. You can earn glory by discovering a new resource, find performances like singing songs about the glory of the legion, by building some great defensive structure or monument, or the most surefire way to rise through the ranks, battle and war. Legions will often have a code of honor and law that is distinct to each one, but there are a few general pillars that tend to be the foundation for all of them. 1. Follow orders. Carry out orders without question, even if those orders are a guaranteed death. 2. Honor the gods. Hobs will give regular recognition to their gods. Any image of Nomag will receive a bow or salute except during an emergency. Bargavyek peacekeepers will always be given respect regardless of rank or banner, and Maglu's calls to war will always be answered. 3. Suffer nor give insult. Any and all insults demand a response. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing, as a wise man once said. 4. Reward glorious actions. Hobs will never deny advancement in status to anyone or any banner that has earned it. If glory is attained in battle, it will be rewarded. 5. Uphold the Legion. The only thing that matters is the survival of the Legion. Path of the Iron Shadow. Some Hobs have mastered a type of unarmed combat known as the Path of the Iron Shadow, and the practitioners of it are called Iron Shadows. These Hobs will often be used as a form of secret police or spy network in Hobgoblin society. Iron Shadows recruit from all ranks of Hobgoblin society. They only answer to Maglu's priests, and they frequently use their talent in stealth, disguise, and unarmed combat to stamp out any potential insurrections or treachery that may be occurring in a legion. Iron Shadows have the ability to command shadow magic to conceal their true nature and create illusions. They can also walk from shadow to shadow, and if they do decide to move out and about in the open, they wear masks that resemble the faces of devils to conceal their identities. Destructive magic. Hobs know the value of magic when it comes to warfare, so while other races may consider the pursuit of magic something that the individual does, it isn't the case in Hob society. Hobs perform mass indoctrination as well as tests in order to comb through their ranks and identify any potential spellcasters. When those with potential have been found, they'll be shipped off to the Academy of Devastation, a Hobgoblin institute made up of spellcasters in order to develop spellcasters. All these students are potential devastators, and all potential Hobgoblin devastators can be turned into a weapon of war. Hobgoblin devastators only learn destructive spells that can help on the battlefield as well as basic evocation magic. Luckily, most devastators aren't very sophisticated in their tactics and are usually used as a form of mobile artillery, but some do find themselves becoming a warlord over the years. Also, just a side note, how cool is it to be called a devastator? That's such a cool title. Hobgoblin lairs. If the Hobs aren't marching on the warpath, then they do actually have a stable lifestyle and society where they can settle down and raise up the next generation. When a legion is looking to set its roots down, they look for things similar to goblins. Someplace out of the way that has access to resources, land for agriculture, access to lumber, stone, or metals are the things a legion is looking to have access to. Once they find a place that has one or some of these features, they begin to establish permanent facilities like forges or mills. Sometimes, if the Hobs feel inclined to do so, they may even set up a trading post on the outskirts of their territory as a means of exchanging goods with other races. Hobgoblin lairs, to no one's surprise, resemble military bases. You can expect these lairs to have marshalling yards, target ranges, fighting arenas, and any other type of training ground you can think of. You'll also find idols and pillars erected in order to pay respect to their gods, or as a way to remember the Legion's past conquests. Every Legion's lair will include a headquarters where the warlord meets with banner leaders. Somewhere inside the base you'll find the Way of Glory, which is some type of pathway like a road, river, tunnel, or valley where all of the Legion's dead are buried. At these burial sites, you'll find a brief description of the grave's occupant, which will include their name, banner, rank, and any glory they may have achieved. You can expect to find stables and dens in order to house the Legion's animals and beasts. If the Legion needs it, then they'll also have a library where the Devastators will train. Hobs don't usually need any type of jail, but if a camp does have one, it's probably a small one. Jails aren't really needed since justice is usually swift in Hob society and can end with a quick death. Examples. Hobgoblins are a bit special. Their lore is more fleshed out than bugbears and rivals or even surpasses the lore for goblins. All this means is that you have a lot that you can work with when introducing them into your campaign. Instead of just bringing them in as a sort of souped up version of the goblin encounter or the boss of a goblin horde, maybe consider introducing them in as a settlement. They have an honor system, they love fighting, the hierarchy is pretty rigid and defined. This has great potential to have the Hobgoblin Society be one that your players can navigate in a more complex way than just fighting them. Consider introducing this group of creatures as their own force of power in the region, similar to that of human villages and castles. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that it gave you some more information to work with when introducing Hobgoblins to your campaign. Hope to see you at the next episode where we will talk about the goblinoid host.